And now, live from Oahu, a man with giant areolas, Mike Taylor.
Thank you, dear. Thank you for saying that and pointing that out. Well, how are you boys doing? It is another one of these Thunderdome Lives. It's episode 10. As I continue to try to get used to doing this kind of thing. Had we done it 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't need to do the radio show anymore. But alas, here we are with our YouTube deal. It is the first time I've done it from my apartment. If you've not seen any of the previous episodes, we've been doing these things at the iHeart station here in Oahu, where I live most of the time. And I thought, shit, I don't want to stay at the station that long. So we decided to move all my stuff here. And this is the first time I'm in my apartment, which now that I see it behind me looks a whole bunch like a small motel room, not a hotel room, but a motel room where you commit crimes and pay for women or do drugs on the fly and leave. So yeah, but welcome in. I'm going to fix this background. The guy we're about to have on has already pointed out that I might need to do something about the ambiance of the place. And so here we are. We'll make do how we are. So back in San Antonio is DJ LG, our fine producer. And the biggest Puma, Samuel Ladon Freese, who hails from Glen Rose, Texas.
And of course,
who is never there on time. Why don't you not be late for Mike Rhyner, dude?
I'm just
Mike Rhyner was early.
Voice.
Sit down, disembodied voice. So anyway, are we having issues getting him on, Lawrence?
Oh, there he is.
Hey,
okay. Hello. Oh, there you go, dude. What's up?
It's called I forgot to turn his camera on. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to make our guest wait while we explained who he was, which is why I explained who he was on the radio show. Not that everyone that's listened to that will watch this, but I don't want to make the guy wait. I've already explained to him that this is a bit of a birthday present for you, Puma. So let's just bring him up. Sam, meet the great Mike Rhyner from his new home. He told me he just got done moving recently. And I think we've got him. There he is. Hello, Mike.
Hi, boys. How we doing tonight?
We're fine. Did you know that I live in Hawaii, by the way?
I did not.
Yes, I am.
Big news drop for me.
Yeah, I'm emanating from the island of Oahu because my ex-wife lives here with our 10-year-old twins. And when our thing ended, I didn't want to move back home and leave the kids. So I'm kind of a expat now stuck on the island of Oahu near Waikiki. So I do the show every day from Hawaii.
World I would submit.
There are, yeah, and there were worse places to spend a pandemic. So here I am. I get home as much as I can. I'm actually going back to South Texas tomorrow night for a week, which will be nice. But it's really super cool to have you on, man. And I feel like I know you. I know that everyone that meets you that knows who you are probably tells you that, but we really feel like we know you just because of like what we do and stuff. And I can't thank you enough for coming on. This is Mike Rhyner. For those that don't know, he is is co-founder the right term? What's the term you're comfortable with? Because it's an unorthodox story. Okay, co-founder. You and the money. You and the money. Y'all are all a bunch of co-founders. How many people were involved how many people were involved in the day one ops of the ticket in Dallas?
Well, leading up to it, there were 3 that put the thing together. There was the money guy. There was a guy who was going to be the ops guy, and there was me. And my job was to go out and talk guys that I knew and that I thought could do this into jumping off this cliff with me.
With a guy that has a fledgling YouTube show, you said you had a money man. How the hell did you find a money man, and how did you get that guy to give you money to do what you wound up doing? Because everybody knows it was a shitty idea from the beginning, as far as everybody else was concerned, but yourself. How did you get this guy to give you the money?
Start. Everybody that I asked, everybody that I talked to about it in the days and weeks and months leading up to it said it'll never work here, despite the fact that sports radio was starting to turn up in big cities all around the nation. Yeah. And I was going on vacation to a lot of big cities with my family. And while there, I would listen to these stations and I would think, okay, Why can't that work here?
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing kept coming back. They say, number one, you're going to need a big signal, which you can't get. Number two, you're going to need a team so you can carry their games, which you can't get. Number three, you're going to need big name talent, which you can't get.
Yeah.
I heard it over and over again. And fool that I am, I just kept going, okay, but tell me why it won't work. You didn't give me reasons. You told me reasons why we can't do it. But let's say we did it anyway. Why wouldn't it work?
Well, it worked because of the content. Who gives a shit about the stick and the team? You boys had the content.
That's right. And nobody thought of those things then.
Right, that's my next question. You're right. I don't want to harp on old ancient memories. I just wanted to kind of set up your background here for us. There were other stations, as you mentioned, but I didn't listen to them. I was in high school. I was actually 19 when y'all launched. I was a freshman at North Texas State. And you had me hook, line, and sinker as a 19-year-old kid. Grew up listening to the same old talk radio in Dallas, which there were some good shows, but you guys were different. Those other stations in the other towns may have been doing things, but what you boys were doing was completely different. So that was the difference as far as I'm concerned. How'd you come up with that concept?
Well, the main thing I thought about as we were planning this out and thinking about what the reality of it might be like is, how do you manage the downtime? If there's a big sports story out there, hey, anybody can do that. But what do you do when there's not that much going on? And it occurred to me that at that time, I happened to be hanging around a bunch of guys that I thought could do that. If I could get it in their heads and put the idea in their heads that it's okay to do that it's cool to do that, and that if we're going to set ourselves apart, we're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
And they bought into that idea, and we just went from there.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it all makes sense to me. I've heard this story, but I'll give you a quick thing on me. Like when you guys went, before you guys, as you know, we had Galloway was on doing his thing, who he's had a decent influence on me for sure. I think maybe Norm was on doing what he was doing over at Cliff. Mike Fisher may have still been on. I'm not sure at that time in 93, 94 or whatever. But man, he was
around for sure.
Yeah, I was 19. And so you guys had me, not that you needed to be young, but as an impressionable guy that wanted to do this or do something in that business. You fucked me up. I was never going to do anything else once I heard you guys doing what you were doing. And that was it. Thank God it worked, because I don't have an alternative. If I get fired today, I'm going to be homeless in a month. So let me say thank you. But I'm just so grateful that it worked out for me the way it did, because after the influence you guys had on me personally, I don't think can be enumerated, honestly. Really. So it means a lot to have you on, man. I appreciate it very much.
Well, I appreciate those nice things you say about us and what we did and how we influenced you and how we made you see that there might be another way to do this other than the way it had been done all those years.
Well, the other thing is that you guys have influenced people all over the country. But the difference is they're just shitty, cheap knockoffs, as you know. I'm sure it had, maybe not anymore, but it had to, as the years went on, it had to piss you off, I guess, or maybe mess with your crawl some to see, oh, there's another ticket being put up in Arizona or in San Antonio. There's some assholes calling themselves the hard line and God knows where. Just blatant ripoff, like they could duplicate that, like what you did was so simple. That had to have, I don't know if maybe it was flattery in some sense, but surely it also offended you, did it not?
It was a little bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you're flattered when somebody likes what you do so much that they want to do it too, and they want to do it the way you do it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, on the other hand, let's have a little originality in this world.
Yeah.
Let's come up with our own shit,
Yeah. I'll tell you the difference between with me, because I've been accused of sounding like you or sounding like the Ticket or whatever. I don't think I sound anything like the Ticket. I think if you were to listen to me on a daily basis, I think there'd be a little bit of you in what I do. I think you'd hear a little bit of me in what I do, and I think you'd hear a little bit of Galloway in what I do. And my perspective on that is, I was 19 when you guys went on the air, and I was in from day one. I didn't know any other way to really do it. Norm was Norm. He took calls, and Galloway was his own deal. I didn't listen to him every night. You guys were the first station that I started listening to every day, all day, being from the Metroplex. And what I tell people that say, oh, you kind of got a little Rhyner in you, that's cool by me, because A, that's how I grew up listening to it. I liken it to, you go see a band play and you can hear influences in that band. They're playing their own music, but you can tell who's influenced them. So
Right.
now that I have you on, I want you to agree with me on that.
Well, I do agree with you.
I'm from that town, so that's how I knew how to do it. When I started hearing, when this thing went internet and I thought, okay, I can listen to other stations, I would say, okay, New York must be really great. Let me listen to the Fan. Oh, they must be really great in LA, or they wouldn't have shows in LA. I thought they were dog shit, because they were nothing like what I grew up listening to when it came to what you guys were doing, you and Grego. And I thank God that I got this gig. Like I said, I couldn't do it any other way but how we do it, because of the influence you guys had. And that's good. Thank God it worked out.
Yeah. And, I used to go around, like I say, and listen to those other shows too. And I, didn't write them off or anything like that, but it was just sports, and more sports. And I love sports as much as the next guy. But how many times can you talk about a certain thing and run it into the ground and everything? I mean, you say what you've got on something, that's all you've got. Well, you're in the course of doing a new show, unless you find out something that you didn't already know, you're probably not going to come up with something that's going to, make you further your position or change your position or anything like that. So again, it comes back down to managing the downtime.
Sure. What are you doing with your downtime these days? I think you're still playing in the band, right? You're doing podcasts and stuff. What are you doing? How old are you now, if you don't mind? And what else are you doing?
I got the band going, and I got a podcast going.
Okay. What else is going? That's it? Bunch of nothing? You don't seem like the kind of guy that can sit around doing nothing all day.
Well, actually, I've turned into that. I was really worried about it when I stepped away from the game, because I mean, it had been my life probably a lot more than it should have been. I probably put a lot more into it than I needed to. I put a lot more thought into it, a lot more worry into it, a lot more myself into it than I needed to. And I don't know if I did a real good job of balancing work, life, and all that. I probably did a worse job than most of the others up there, but I was also a lot more invested in it than they were.
Sure.
Now, though, I don't have that anymore, and I'm finding that, hey, there's really something to getting out of bed every day, or on occasional days, and thinking, man, I really don't have anything going these days. If I want to read a book, I can. If I want to go to a movie, I can. I can do whatever. It's pretty neat.
How many days a week, though, do you miss it, if any?
None.
Wow.
None. There has not been one day yet when I've really missed it. There have been some times when certain stories would come down, and all through this last Cowboy season, I kind of miss being on the air then. But for the most part, I don't miss it at all.
Wow. Man, honestly, I mean, I'm 47. Hopefully I won't get fired anytime soon. So this is my gig, but I hope to get to a point where I won't miss it either, because I think, like you, there were days, there's been times where I was, and I'm sorry to make it all about me, but I relate to you in that form, in that I think that I have put my job ahead of stuff that I don't need to do. Not
Yeah.
that you have any, I don't know if you have regrets. You probably don't. I don't want to regret putting this over other stuff. So I'm trying to find that balance now before I get too old and do have regrets. Not that you do, but I don't want to, you know. I
Yeah.
guess that's the lesson
Well,
I'm
that
taking out of
balance
this
is in there
conversation.
somewhere. It's in
Yeah.
there somewhere, and you got to look for it. You got to strive to find it. It's got to be something you really want to do, but it's
Yeah.
in there somewhere.
Okay. All right. I'm going to bring on my producer. We call him Biggest Puma. His name's Sam. He's from he grew up in Glen Rose, and like I told you earlier, not that I didn't want to have you on. I've been thinking about reaching out ever since we started doing this thing here. But this is a bit of a birthday gift for him to have you on. I got to tell you, we might have Tim Duncan on, we might have Troy Aikman on to talk about his beer, but there'll never be a time, and I'm trying to keep it cool, man. There will never be a time where I don't give a shit. I'm not embarrassed to admit that this is a big honor for me. It doesn't matter who else we'll ever have on. There won't be a time where we're as jazzed to have a guest on. I think Sam, I speak for you, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolute lockstep agreement. It's great to have you on, Mike.
Well,
don't
thank you.
start
I'm
off
very
with rain-
flattered by
don't-
what you guys say.
Thanks, man. Well, don't start off
by
with
the way-
Rangers talk right off the. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of Glen Rose, I must add this. I had an uncle who was a very, very big bootlegger in Glen Rose back in the day.
I guarantee you, Mike,
Yeah.
I guarantee you my family knows him then, because my family was and is still highly involved in the moonshine game of Somerville County.
Which
Well,
he
bounce
still
the name
admits.
Shorty McMichael off of him and see what happens.
I bet I see my grandpa's face just light up as soon as it's like a name he hasn't heard in years. No, as Mike said, I mean, I echo a lot of those same sentiments. I mean, it was, Mike talks about how, he was freshman in college. I was 8 years old when y'all launched, and that is a large, very large reason of why, I wanted to get into this industry, where I am now. But I also, something else about you that I know Mike hit on the sports talk era, but as someone who is, goes through a lot of steps in deciding the music for the show every day and takes great pride in putting the playlist together with all of the songs that we play and try not to repeat songs, and something that I grew up listening to you do, curate the music and know, how important that was. It also, someone who started in radio at a classic rock station here in San Antonio. I want to go back and ask about some of those, the days before the ticket and the days, what was it initially, since you didn't have sports talk radio growing, like we talk about how growing up listening to it is what made us get into it. What was it about radio or the industry, or was it just the music? What was it that made you want to get, involved in the zoo or in radio to begin with?
Well, I don't know. I've always been a radio nut. For some reason, radio always seemed magical to me. And when I was growing up, going through elementary school and all that, all my friends would be watching, I don't know, My Mother the Car or The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis or whatever on TV. And I would be in my room with a transistor radio listening to Russ Knight, the Weird Beard on the Mighty 1190 KLIF. And the whole thing just seemed absolutely magical to me. Like, it sounded like this guy was talking to everybody in the world. And I thought that was so cool. I'd never dreamed that I would actually do it one day, because back then I didn't think there was any way I ever could do it. But still, that was the thing that first, set my soul on fire about radio.
Did you,
the Mighty 1190?
were you growing up already playing music, or how old were you whenever you started to get, more musically involved?
I was a teenager, early teenager. It was when the Beatles came out, and I was probably about 13, 14, something like that when I started. I took to drums, and that kind of went on from there. There was a time not too terribly, well, yeah, it was terribly long ago too, like about 20 years. But there was a time that lasted for about, I don't know, 12, 15 years, maybe even longer than that, where I put it down altogether and I thought I would never do it again. And there's a valuable lesson in there for you boys. Don't ever say I'm never going to do that again, because
Okay.
the word never is very dangerous.
All right. I wanted to ask you about Grego. I wasn't sure if I should ask him, Sam. I texted him, "Hey man, what's off limits?" He's like, "Nothing. We're good." Do you talk to him? How's he doing? Because again, I was a day one P1 until I moved from North Texas, unfortunately, and wasn't able to be by the channel every day. But so I was already gone by the time all that went down with him. How's he doing? Do you talk to him? How's that relationship?
The relationship has been non-existent for a long, long time, but a year and a half or so ago, there was a documentary that was done on me. That sounds arrogant as hell. I'm sorry.
It's weird. No, I get it. I'm you know what? iHeart won't let me call myself a talk show host. Now I'm an influencer, which sounds like the most pretentious shit of all time.
Yeah,
But
he's got
anyway,
all of his links in his
Wow,
bio.
you're an influencer?
I'm
He's
an
an influencer
influencer,
with
yeah.
links
I want to
in
be an
bio.
influencer too.
Anyway, I'm sorry I cut you off, but I get it on a smaller scale.
But anyway, in the course of doing the documentary, he was in that. She interviewed him,
Okay.
and there was a couple of things that were shot where we had to be in the same place at the same time together. And it was okay. We did fairly well together. Now, I haven't talked to him since then, but for that one moment, we were able to put aside everything and be big boys, and it was good. And my feelings toward Grego have softened up a good bit over the years to where I think I could, be with him sometime now, hang out with him a little bit and talk about it all.
It was a
But
weird
as far
time.
as how he's doing, I don't know. I mean, you never
Okay.
could tell.
It was a weird day for me as just a listener when he split, but then it turned out fine. But then the day that you decided, when we all found out you were out of there, I thought, well, fuck, I'm not going to be able to listen to that station anymore. And I actually did not listen to it for a while because it wasn't the same. I didn't want to hear Beatlemania. No offense to any of those guys, but that's what I grew up on. And when you both were gone, that was a dark time. They've come around though. I'm on me. I've gotten back into the habit of listening to some of that stuff now that I'm able to on my little computer in my pocket every day.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think about where that thing has gone up there? And how what do you feel about how they're doing in the post old gray wolf era?
Well, I think they're doing just fine. I mean, as near as I can tell, it's still the best thing on the radio around here. And I don't mean just sports, I mean everything. It still gives its listeners more than they get anywhere else. It's still genuine. It still has that off the cuff quality that it always had. And near as I can tell, they're doing fine. And that's what I would want. That's what I would hope for. That's what I would want. And if it were any other way, I'd be very, very disappointed in them for letting it get away.
Yeah. This is a broad question, but as I need this industry to continue to thrive and keep going because I'm not ready to retire. And as I mentioned, I've got nothing else to do, no other skills. Where do you see this thing going? Obviously, the ticket will be fine because there's such a cow, but the rest of us out here in the hinterlands, where do you see this business going? The way this thing has consolidated, money's run dry, et cetera, et cetera. Do you worry about the future of this thing?
I do. I really do. It's almost like the entire business has been taken over by venture capital. And I don't know if that's true or not. It actually has been taken over by venture capital. But when venture capital comes in, they ruin everything. They get rid of all the good people. They make those who stay take a whole lot less, and it's just a one-way train that goes downhill. And like I say, I don't know if that's specifically what's happening here, but I worry about it. I worry that that's going to happen. That's happening now, and it's going to keep right on going. And
well, which is why
I
having a good
really
guest
fear
on my
for it.
YouTube show. Yeah, well, that's why I'm trying to make this thing hum so I can supplement what I'm doing. I think I'm fine, but I'm talking like, in 10 years, do I need to be focused on a new plan or something like that? I need this shit to work out at least a little while longer. All right, I'm glad you didn't
You
ask
always
him a Rangers
need to be
question.
focused on a new plan, Mike.
Okay,
Always.
yeah, that's probably good. That's probably true.
It's just a
You want to
sound
get your Rangers?
strategy.
You want to get your Rangers question in? I'm happy.
Okay.
Not that I'm anti-Rangers, but he threatened to
No,
sabotage this whole night with Rangers talk.
He's absolutely
Go ahead.
anti-Rangers, Mike. Anytime he has a chance, he references
I'm
Nelly Cruz
anti-Rangers.
backpedaling to try to catch a fly ball every single time he can.
It was a horrible moment, but in defense of Nelson Cruz, let's not forget, the Rangers had several chances after that to win that
Correct.
game. And
They also
did
had
not.
Indy Chavez on the bench that could have been a defensive replacement
They did.
out there in
They
right
did.
field as
There were a
well.
lot
And
of
that
things
ball
that went wrong that night.
That ball was smoked. It's
Yeah,
fine.
no,
just agree with
it's
you.
easy to forget everything that happened after that one play. But yeah, no, that's a favorite reference of Mike's. I would be remiss if I didn't ask at least one Ranger question because, as Mike notes, I am a massive Rangers fan, and a large part of that is, the content you put out there. Y'all doing Diamond Talk all those years after the game, and I gotta think someone now that I thought it was amazing that they got you to voice the final home opener for the Temple in the last year of the high school football stadium that it has now become. So when you see
That ain't right, man.
It's awful. It's awful. They should have just taken the thing down if you're gonna build in the same as parking lot adjacent to the old one. But to see the new air-conditioned baseball field and then see the old Temple that was the gift that Van Cliburn opened up for us all, and then to think back to the roots and the early where the Rangers started there in Arlington. What was it that made you? Was it baseball that you loved, and then the Rangers showed up in town, or was it?
Yeah, it was. It was. I was a baseball fan long before the Rangers got here. I've been a baseball fan since I was 9 years old, and back then, we're talking 1959, 1960. Everybody was a baseball fan back then. Baseball was the number one game in the country. It was bigger than the NFL, and the NBA didn't even rate back then. It was all baseball all the time. And that's when it got me hooked. And it never has left me. It's always stayed with me. I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love both of those other games. I love football. I love basketball, but baseball is the game that I know best and the game that I like most.
Yeah, and I know Mike likes to give me shit because I still am somehow a millennial that is still absolutely in love with baseball, despite all of their attempts to turn off their audience and try to eliminate their own game from the face of the earth. So it's interesting.
It's awful.
It's awful. It's awful, and it's awful that it's happening, but then it's even worse in the when you start to read some of the specifics of they're literally arguing over $50,000 here, $100,000 there, and it just seems that's what you get when you hire a lawyer that hates the game to be your commissioner. But that's a whole nother story. I would ask.
And
go ahead.
I'm so turned off by all of that I'm just to the point of, okay, you boys go fight it out amongst yourselves and let me know when we're going to play ball, because I've been through this in the 60s. I went through it in the 80s, the 90s. I've been through this before, and I've just had it with it, However, not so much that it's made me hate the game.
See, and that's somehow
you're lying to him. I don't hate baseball. I don't like Major League Baseball. I would love to change. I just find myself, I would rather go watch TCU play Texas right now than work because it's Major League. I've got to get that out of my head. I've got to be able to separate watching ball, like Mike said. Let me know when you're done with all your BS, and I'll be back watching the game because at the end of the day, it's still baseball. I got to get back to that headspace.
You say you don't hate baseball, but your ideal length of a season would be how long?
Okay. Well,
so you want less. You want less baseball, significantly less baseball, but you don't.
It comes up all the time. The future of Major League Baseball and the worry about young eyeballs and how it's now become so expensive to play youth baseball. How are we going to get the kids? All these things about time limits and shit like that. I've always said and they'll never do it. It's just me throwing out mad science. If they'll reduce the number of games in a season, I think it would go a long way to helping the league. But they make money hand over fist. Look what they're arguing over now because of all this money that they make. So that'll never happen. You're wasting Reiner's time now by throwing out my stupid baseball opinions.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that's a horrible idea.
Okay. I don't either. Not on its face.
I myself think that there might be more good than harm to come from something like that.
The historical harm I get,
if you were to lop off, I don't know, 20, 30 games, you still got a nice long season in there.
I agree. Yeah.
Puma,
we've been through shit. In the 40s, I don't care about how it's a 140-year-old league. It changes, it evolves. Black guys couldn't even play in the 40s, and then they've changed the distance, and they've changed the mound and the ball, and the humans have literally changed. There's nothing wrong with knocking 25 games off the deal. So there it is. It's been confirmed. You need to come around and just accept this as a good opinion.
I like sports, and I always root for more of sports. I can
never 200
support.
Games.
Yeah, I can never support.
I like sports too, but I just don't know if a 162 game baseball season fits into the fabric of American life the way it once might have. That's all I'm saying.
I definitely
think that's something that they got to think of.
They do. Yeah.
I definitely see that, but changing the structure of your game
argue
to
with
match
Mike
up
over
with
this.
No. I'm just as a strong baseball fan, as three baseball fans, we can have some nice banter about the future of the sport. I just don't bending to the demands of the attention spans of younger generation. I just don't see how that is in the long term best interest of your sport. Yeah, I do. I feel like the old man on this one. I would doubt
very seriously that it is. I would doubt very seriously that that's an idea that is getting any kind of traction at all as they go through this thing and go through these talks and whatever the hell they're doing.
All right. Well, man, I can't thank you enough. I didn't want to keep you more than about 30 minutes, and I wound up keeping you right at 30, man. I appreciate this very much. We got a hell of a kick out of it. It's nice to talk to you. And I'd say I'd be by the channel, but you won't be there. How about that?
No,
thanks, man.
I won't be there.
All right. Shocked to find out you don't miss it at all. Of course.
Good to finally talk to you, Mike.
You too, man.
A lot of people told me over the years that, man, that guy talks about you all the time, and you wouldn't believe the influence that you've had on him. And that's neat. That's neat to hear, especially when it applies to somebody like yourself that's having a very successful career on his own. And I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you, Ryan. I'll ask my papa about what was his name again? What was the
Michael?
Shorty McMichael. Write
Shorty
that down.
Okay,
Remember that.
yeah.
Okay,
I got to text it to myself.
Okay, cool.
All right. That down.
All right, man. Hey, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it. All right.
All right. You guys have a good night.
All right. See ya. All right. There he is. The great Mike Rhyner, the old gray wolf. This is a bit surreal for me.
I argued baseball with Rhyner.
And then disagreed with him a second time. I liked it. That was nice.
Doubled down. No, I'm not going to just.
You handled yourself well.
Yeah, I'm not going to give up my position. I feel like I'm on the right side of history with that stance.
Well, if Mike Rhyner doesn't change your arrogant stances and get you to at least try and come see somebody else's side, nothing will. But that's good. That's called consistency, and I support it, Puma.
I
All right, the
guarantee
great Mike
you,
Rhyner.
I
Man, that was
guarantee
fun.
you, someone in my family knows that that moonshiner he's talking of. There's Glen Rose is not a big place, and it's an even smaller community of moonshiner or people with dabbling in the homemade brew there.
All right, guess what we got tonight? This is so cool. By the way, I'm good. How you like my little apartment? The first time we can finally get Rhyner on, and I'm in my shitty little apartment. I got to do something about the ambiance.
Only
man.
appropriate.
So should I put like a big bookshelf like right behind me, or like alongside the bed? I think for sure. I was thinking a bookshelf right here along the bed, so you can't see the bed, right? And because it's in the daytime here too, which is why you got the damn sunshine blowing through the curtains. You guys should see this view. I'm on the 25th floor and overlooking Waikiki and a volcano, but it sucks for doing YouTube shows because it brings all this light in. I'm thinking about putting bookshelves like right behind me, and maybe I'll get a petty theft concert calendar or something and put up there or whatever. So this is my apartment, part of it anyway. You can't see the rest. There's not much else to see. And this is also, not only is it a special night because of the guy we just had on, it's also a special night, man, because we have our first ever sponsor. And I can't thank everybody enough who have tipped our show on the Buy Me a Coffee app, which you can absolutely do right now. We've also, how much is it, LG, to do the super chat? What does that entail within the?
It varies. You can put in whatever you want, basically.
Okay,
Anywhere from 5 to 500 or something like that.
Oh God. Okay. 5 to 5 million. For $5 million, you get your name put to the head of the list and you can join the super chat. Also, you can tip us on the buymeacoffee.com/Thunderdome live site that you can go to, and you can tip us while we're on the air. Thanks to Greg Abbott's e-break, who gave us a tip earlier. I noticed that while Mike was on. That was fun. And also, it's a special night because we have our first actual live sponsor, which maybe this thing will work for a year. If we're on the air in a year, I'll be thrilled and delighted. I'd like to make it hum, and I cannot think. I talked to a cool guy last night by the name of, he goes by George. I gave him shit because he spells his name Jorge. When I say Jorge, what do you immediately assume his name is said? Like
Jorge.
His name is Jorge. He goes with George. Stone Oak ass Mexican stuff. That's fine. He's got a great business. He married a girl from Boyd, Puma, the home of Greg the Hammer Williams. How about that for synergy? How about that for weirdness?
Synergy, yeah.
Yeah, no shit. So Jorge is from the Valley. He's married a girl from Boyd, Texas, up in the hinterlands near where we're from. And they own a place called JM Pool and Spa. JM Pool and Spa has become the official pool and spa provider of Thunderdome Live. How about, let's all give them a hand, all of you boys. Let's give these people a hand for sponsoring what we do. So badass. They are a Pluto San Antonio family-owned and operated business. They do pools and they do spas. They renovate them. They fix chips. They service them. If you have a pool and you're needing somebody to come out and just help you monitor the thing because it's a pain in the ass to do it on your own, JM Pool and Spa will do it. They do monthly pool service, like I said, but along with major repairs too. They've been in business over 25 years. They're super Pluto San Antonio. They're licensed to install and repair electrical pool gear too. And they just run a real great scene over there, and they just know what they're doing. So there it is. The official pool and spa provider of Thunderdome is JM Pool and Spa. It's jmpoolspa.com, jmpoolspa.com. All right. And you can also shoot us a tip on the Buy Me a Coffee. Is it app? What do I call it? An app, LG? Help me out, associate DJ LG. Website. God almighty. All right. Thank you to Andrew Covey. Andrew Covey bought 3 coffees. Yuck will do the Come On Now Spurs doing the 2K22 Combine Challenge on Saturday. Can't wait to hear. Oh, the fake Wade Phillips is apparently going to show up. I mentioned Greg Abbott's e-break bought a coffee too. So thank you boys for doing that. Thanks everyone that participated in the chat. What are you laughing at now?
I just heard back. I've already heard back from my grandma, and that
Oh, cool.
Rhyner was absolutely not kidding. That my family has crossed paths with a Shorty McMichael in the
Oh
past.
shit. That is hilarious.
Lived,
Wow.
Puma's camera died, by the way. That's why I
I'm
can't
back.
put him on. I got to troubleshoot that.
I'm
So.
back to being a
Oh,
disembodied
God
voice.
almighty. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, this is how we always do our radio gig. Well, so this will actually, we'll probably have better chemistry now. All right, so that was kind of cool, wasn't it, having him on? I don't know if our normal viewers gave a rat's ass, but I was giddy. That was as close to going to see Santa Claus as a 47-year-old man as it gets for me. That was pretty cool, and he was so down to earth and chill. Not that I thought he'd be a dick or anything, but he was exactly the guy that I thought he would be. That I've listened to all my life, all my adult life for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Talking about ranking birthday presents is always a dangerous game to play, especially when
I'm not going to blow you, but I can give you mic right.
Yeah, especially when my roommate is in the room next to me and can absolutely hear everything I say. I mean, I'll put it in a Rhynerism for it. You didn't wake me up in that special way, but that's the second best thing you could have possibly given. That was amazing.
Oh, dude, thank you. I'm glad that it worked. I'm glad that we were able to get him on. And took a couple of weeks, but like he said, he was in the middle of a big move. And good to see that guy. He looks good, sounds the same. And I did find it interesting that he does not miss it at all. That was interesting. I thought he would say that he does on occasion.
It's been long enough now, I think maybe that it's a little easier to look back on and be, satisfied in all the accomplishments and not miss or yearn for more. I have to say, I almost wore that exact same jacket he was wearing, that classic black Patagonia. That would have been weird. I'm glad I chose wisely. But I will, I've already had, half a dozen of my friends that I grew up with back in Glen Rose that have already texted me like, I'm fucking jealous. I can't believe you just did that. So yeah, no, that was amazing, man.
So cool. All right. Well, do you hear what he said though? Make sure you have a backup. Make sure you have a backup plan. And I have one. I don't know what it is yet. I thought I had one. For me, it was going to be teach. I guess it probably still would be. Thank God I've got my degree, because I'd go find some alternative teaching certificate program somewhere and wind up doing that. Knock on the wood. I don't want to have to do that anytime soon. So have a backup.
Yeah, what's the old Hunt for Red October line? Russians don't take a dump without a plan. I mean, always have a plan.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that now, because they don't seem to have one with what they're doing now.
It doesn't. Tom Clancy painted them in a better picture, in a better light.
Yeah, he did.
Modern day leadership.
Russia's proven to be a lot less powerful in person than they have been in Tom Clancy's novels so far, for sure. But he also said, don't put this over everything. And no question he did. And we all know why. I mean, that guy, you imagine that guy put everything on the line to take a flyer on that thing and to have it do what it did. Had that station been 25% of what it wound up being, it's a success story. Well, no shit, they're doing documentaries on the guy, So that was, I'll take both of those under advisement. I will always make sure that I've got a fallback plan, and I'll always make sure not to put that over anything. That hasn't, and I think I've done a decent job with balancing that out. I've got this transgender fight now. I'm just trying to be a regular dad to 4 different kids with 4 different personalities. And I don't want to put this over that, but this is what pays for those people to live, so you gotta find that balance,
Yeah.
And thank God and thank God for the viewer. Thank God for the listener. And this isn't rolling without y'all. And this goes back to why this is also a good night for me, because we actually have, JM Pool and Spa now that's jumped on board with us. But that leads me to say this: if you're out there and you want to sponsor this thing, this Thunderdome Live, Puma's not been able to buy a brand new pair of pants in a year. Oh, Greg Abbott's e-brakes back in here. Talk data point por vida. God damn it.
Por
Get that out of here with nobody calling a taqueria talk. No, I was going to say, if you want to support this thing, please do. Obviously, I'm not going to beg you, but we do have sponsorship opportunities for this show. And it's real basic. It's super easy. And by the way, what we do here has nothing to do with our radio gig. Zero. And I'm so grateful to my guys over at iHeart who have not, they told me, go for it, man. Do what you got to do. We support you. And I really thank them because they could be weird about YouTube and selling it and having sponsors. And then like, go for it, dude. So if you're interested in supporting this program from a sponsorship standpoint, it's pretty easy to do. We got some basic stuff. That reminds me that the three of us need to sit down this Sunday and have a business meeting on this thing. Now that we actually have a little bit of production money coming in.
Yeah, we should probably have a business meeting since we're 10 episodes in and we haven't had a single one yet. Yeah.
Here's the more important thing as I continue to have the conversation with my grandma. My grandpa absolutely bought whiskey from that family. Like I'm 100%. Yes, like that's fucking
amazing.
Insane. Yeah,
he buys some coffee from our show and support his grandson.
Yeah, they're familiar with Mac McDaniel.
Mac. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it must have been Shorty on the street. It was Shorty,
an uncle or a potential other
family.
Relatives. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very
good.
Awesome, world, man.
All right. Well, again, that's if you want to help our show, reach out to me and I'll tell you how to do it. Why don't we sit down like Sunday and I don't know, have a plan on what to do with our funds. Not that we have a lot, but whatever we can do to supplement our scene and keep us feeling good about doing our YouTube show, I want to do it. So thanks everyone. And just reach out to me about sponsoring shit. LG, how was your trip to San Diego, dude? You've been quiet today. I know you're probably tired. You've been flying and traveling. Where you been and what were you doing out in California? I still think you're out there banging a chick, but he acts like he's working. What were you doing?
Nah, I was covering an event, the OFC conference at the San Diego Convention Center, which is basically like
OnlyFans conference.
No, yeah,
nice.
That would have been much better, but no, it was
so on brand.
It's basically like a conference for a convention for network professionals that live in like server rack rooms and like dungeons and
oh god.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So, it was a bunch of fiber optic cables and stuff that I had no idea what it did.
It's literally the exact opposite of what an OnlyFans conference would look like.
Right. It's a no ever have sex again conference because you're a nerd.
It's people going in there and buying, a server rack which could power the country of Norway, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So it was fun though.
EA Guero 84. Damn it, I tried to change Abbott's e-brake to the Musk of Puma's beanie. Why didn't it change? Or he couldn't get his name to change. He tried to become the Musk of Puma's beanie.
Man, this thing is pretty musky right now.
When's the last time you washed it?
This past weekend.
Oh, okay. It looks brighter. It looks like it got a little more color to it or something.
Yeah. It got
so
a
that
fresh
thing's
wash
been washed in recent days. It's probably had a bath since you've had one.
I kind of thought that's where you were going with that, and I will plead the fifth on that. Thank you.
Bring Rudy J and Hutch as guests. I'm not opposed to Hutch. We could go get Rudy on, and that might get my managers to be like, be careful over there.
Tread lightly.
I love Rudy J, but I don't know. He's fine. I like him a lot, but I don't know if we should. Let me file that away. Taylor, your curse exists because we got no baseball. Go back to the mission and spell your blood again to stop the curse. I could do that. That'd be a good way to kill some time. Get an adult star on here. Would love to watch Peter Griffin laugh single Taylor interview her. I've been told that by a few people. I'll watch every day if you get hot porn actors on or something. I mean, I don't know how to do that. What would I ask a porn star? Hey, how do you do all that ass sex and it doesn't hurt?
Yeah, how did you
get into gaping?
Okay.
I mean,
okay. All right.
What do you talk to a porn star about?
A porn star is one thing, But I do think it would actually honestly be interesting to just talk to a girl that started
Business.
an OnlyFans that is now paying all of her bills.
An entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
who's not
That's a
rich, and
small
some
business.
girl who's
Correct.
like decided, you know what, this is a business decision. I'm 20, I look great, I can make a shit ton of money. Fuck it, I'm going to do it
Yeah.
and be
Yeah,
cool
no,
with. And like some girl who comes on, we could do something.
I
You
think
know,
that interview
and-
would be way better than interviewing,
All right.
Throatzilla or somebody.
What was the real infamous B job queen that was the NBA
Nancy
player
Reagan?
was her big conquest. There, she had a name. There have been some very famous road lizards that got off. Basically, their job was to travel around to
I know
NBA
what
cities.
you're talking about. Yeah,
Not
yeah.
Throatzilla.
No, that's Lyle Collins' go-to girl. God, well, I know exactly.
You know
who
who
you're
I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
Yeah, there's some high grade quality road lizards. There have been some that actually wound up getting married to 3 or 4 guys in the league. The NBA player will make a bad decision on you with women. And I'm not hating because I probably would too if I had that kind of scratch.
You need to watch this Showtime, this Lakers show on HBO.
I do.
There's a lot of bad decisions by NBA players being made in that show, just in the first episode alone.
Magic alone. And the things that he put the Lakers organization through with his off the field prowess all those times. Shorted McMichael just supported Thunderdome Live with a tip. 3 coffees. The official Chicago policeman of the Taylor Show just bought 3 coffees. Thank you very much, dude. That's Officer Joe. Hear from him all the time. Outstanding. Very good. Very good. Is 2010 Taylor coming to town? Fuck you think the answer to that is, homeboy?
What time's
Boom
that
was
flight?
laying out.
What time's that flight touchdown?
11:30 Friday afternoon, homeboy. Wait till y'all see how I'm coming home Friday. I told LG, he couldn't believe it. We got to know where the drop off point's going to be. So I'm going to get picked up in style at the airport on Friday. And I'm going to have the limo take me down somewhere, and I'm going to have Puma pick me up at the limo drop-off.
You're gonna have the what?
I didn't want the limo pulling up. Are you going to come with me and film all this for content for our YouTube show?
The limo.
Yeah.
You got a limo.
Yeah, I got a limo. I got a badass stretch white limo.
Of course you got a limo, yeah.
Like Vince Young style.
Is it got the heart-shaped
And I told
jacuzzi
him,
in the back?
Well,
does it have poles?
Yeah, it's the VIP one.
Is it a limo or is it a party bus?
No, it's a limo. But
Okay.
It's like, well, hang on. They asked me, we're going to send a limo. I said, I don't want no shitty, just generic black dead body funeral parlor limo. Give me the good shit. And so they're going to send, okay, we're going to send you the top of the line fleet one we've got in the fleet. And it's a white stretch limo. Is white going to be, is that work? Yeah, for sure. So you're going to see this big ass fucking white limo out front of the airport Friday. And that'll be my ass getting in there.
Nice.
LG, can you come out and roll on that? Why don't you Uber out there and then you hop in the limo? We'll go somewhere and we'll have Puma come pick our asses up. We got to figure out where to have it but drop us off at. That's the thing. I want the limo to drop me off in like a really super just kick-ass, badass, puro San Antonio location, since that's where we're going to be. And not the Alamo, but something that everybody will know. What's the most? I was gonna have it go to Puma's house, but we've already given away too much where he lives.
I mean, just have him go to the Alamo Dome, and you can see me standing on my front porch.
What's that crackhead neighbor gonna do? What are your neighbors gonna think if a fucking stretch pulls out in front of your house? Funny bit.
Jose's just gonna run out and get in. Like if he sees, like. It won't phase him one bit. Like he won't miss a beat. He'd be like, "Hey, what are we doing? Where are we going? What's going on?"
All right, yeah. So we got to figure out a real cool spot to. So that's the plan. I'm gonna have it pick up me and LG at the airport, and then take us to some sort of drop point. I like the phrase drop point.
I swear that literally sounds like the place you go drop $200 and get taken to a VIP room. The drop point. That's very.
I could have the limo. We could go have lunch at Sugar's or something. I mean, lunches are cheap at strip clubs.
Lunches are cheap and entertainment cheaper.
Well, surf and turf.
Surf and turf. No, never mind.
So seedy.
So yeah, there's no. Have you ever eaten seafood inside of a strip club?
You bet your fucking ass. It's $4.99.
Oh my god!
What do you think you're talking to? That's probably my second career. If I get fired, is running a club.
I can imagine you being the club DJ. I could see that.
No, I'm gonna be the manager of the fucker. I don't want to be the DJ. Although I've talked to managers of strip clubs, and they all say it's a beating. The money's great, but God, it's an ass whip.
Oh, I'm sure
half of them are coked out of their mind. They're pains in the asses. I can only dance for an hour because I'm on that time of the month, and you're an ass though, because just putting up with the girls is a pain in the ass. So that from that standpoint, I'll tell you what I would. You tell you what I actually. It's funny we got into this, and we'll get rolling here pretty soon. I got to go. I got shit to do to get ready for this trip home. I'll go ahead and say this right now. I think I've mentioned this on the air, but I think I would say we're on first base right now. And it may be 2 years before we get to second, but I feel like it. I'll go ahead and say the conversation has already started on a ground floor level, of a future bar. I'll call it a bar. And I'm still kicking the tires on exactly what it would look like and what it would entail. There's no question at one point I would like to open up a small, nothing too gaudy, a small bar in Texas somewhere. Probably San Antonio. I know we're doing a YouTube show. We're not supposed to reference, although I'd like to get worldwide, but since my home base is in South Texas, I think at some point, I think it'd be cool to open up a bar. And I will tell you that I've already had some very preliminary discussions. I sound like Matthew McConaughey thinking about running for governor.
Yes, I was about to say. Well,
I've been told by people that could help me with this that they think it's a good idea. And I mean, I could see us, and now I'm just pipe dreaming. I could see us like having cocktails for like the ass whip martini, the come on now Spurs. We have like themed drinks and shit like that, the red romper. We'd have like a chick drink, call it the red romper, right? It'd be funny, right?
No, that's out of respect. It's very honorable. I mean, it would probably be the most ordered drink on the menu. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make it something real, fruity and chicky,
What do you think? What do you think my wife drinks? Let me ask you that.
Well, vodka. Because we're trying
tequila
to sell it to
and soda water.
I know we're trying to sell it to other chicks though. And I could see us like doing shows at the bar. My dream, and I just hire you away from my heart. And I just the bar would hire you. And that'd be part of your job is to produce the show.
It's the Tony Kornheiser strategy. I mean, buy the restaurant, buy the bar, install the podcast studio at the restaurant. Yeah. And then just to literally do the show from there, have lunch, go home, rinse and repeat.
Correct. Yeah. And by then this YouTube show will be taken off too. So I think it'd be LG, what do you think? You're laying out. You think it'd be a good idea? I think it could work.
A great idea
in San Antonio. Yeah, I think people would come to it. We have enough Thunderdomers that would support it. I think we'd have some of our hangers on we'd turn some people into alcoholics because they'd be up there all day long. But that's
minor
okay.
detail.
It'd be fine. Yeah, minor detail.
I'm gonna have to report back to you on the can of worms that Rhyner opened up with Shorty McMichael. Like.
Yeah, I
my grandma, she will text and I will get the random text from her or I'll send her something and, it's usually about a 5-minute window between I get another text. She's rapid firing back and my grandpa is like, how does he know that now? Like, I think there's some bad blood or some history or something there that we'll do some future reporting on because that
awesome.
Yeah, that's I'm still literally getting blown up by because now my grandpa is because I can tell he's texting now because it went from, being my grandma's polite English to my papa saying, how the hell you know that name?
And don't be talking about that shit on your Bluetooth.
Exactly, on the Bluetooth.
Get off the internet. Don't be face live and shit
keep
like
these
that.
stories off your boob tube live.
Oh man. All right. So what I took from Mike, and we'll get out of here, was people talk to him about me. I just don't know what to do with that. You hear that? Lots of people over the years have said that this guy was super influenced by you, and I'm honored. That's a quote. Maybe he was lying, but I'm going to pretend he was
Still
not.
a quote. Still
Dude,
a quote.
that was
Put
cool.
it on the tombstone.
All right, we probably shouldn't even have a guest on next week. No, the bar's been raised some though. You know, that's funny. I still get more people talking about my boy Marty, the music engineer who's married to the chick, formerly the Dixie Chick, currently of the Chicks, who's been all over the world with bands, and they want to hear more wild ass band stories. So I've told Marty he should come on again at some point. Actually, yeah, I was thinking we have Doc Garrett on for 15 minutes or so, either next week or the week after. He can be one of two guests or the only one if y'all want.
I think
What do you boys
let's
think
have
about
him.
having? He's so
let's ha-
handsome.
Let's have him next week because I might actually need to ask the good doc some questions after our combine.
Are you kidding?
I actually have.
You're
I,
right.
I have an ailment I need to ask him about as well.
You do?
Yeah.
Holy
See?
shit.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm
Production
good.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, your sex bones probably sore from 3 days in San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more like
Yeah.
28 hours in San Diego.
Wow. All right. That it? No wonder you're tired. Did
Yeah.
you sleep at all?
Not really, no.
Not really. All right. All right. So no bullshit. I got to hang up and go get kids. It's daddy duty. It's my last night here before my big trip. So do I get a quiet night alone to wash clothes and tidy up my apartment? No.
Come
I
on.
need you to come get these kids.
Come on.
So I'm going to go get my babies, take them to dinner and come back and do some laundry. All right. For everybody that contributed to us tonight, and I don't mean just monetarily, just by making this part of your night, because it's 8:00 at night when we record these, and we'll wind up getting a lot more views after we post this. But you boys that tune in here and watch us live at 8:00 at night during the week, that makes it dance. I have to tell you, I appreciate that very much. Thank you,
6
boys,
to
very, very
midnight.
much. So yeah, I think we'll have Doc Garrett on, and we'll have him fix you boys' ailments, and then we'll get into like maybe some really over the top gruesome injuries stories that he's seen over the years. And he loves to call out pussy ass NBA players and football players too that can't handle the treatments, which is always a delight because that guy's got no filter either. So I thought we'd have him on maybe next week or the week after. Oh, and by the way, are we prepared to start doing 2 of these a week before we get out of here?
As long as I don't have any conflicting stuff. Yes.
Right. Yeah. We understand that there'll be times where that might happen.
That's a limp
like-
yes. Yeah.
I was thinking we start doing Tuesday, Thursday when we record this. Obviously, I got to fly and travel across the world on next Thursday. What do you think about doing back-to-back nights, Lawrence?
I'm down. It
I
doesn't
know
matter to me.
the bet you want to spread some time out, but since I'll be there with you,
Might as
I'm
well.
thinking
Why
like
not?
I don't give a shit if every night or 3 or 4 nights while I'm home, we just like go in there and open that shit up and just start talking.
Let's do it.
Just start going. Let's just start shooting the shit like we're doing now every night, at least for a while until it fizzles out or one of us passes out or something like that or gets a booty call or whatever. Right?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Okay. Right on. All right. Right on.
Down.
All right. Thanks, man. Puma, you going to be good? I got to figure out. I'm going to go drink a beer to recover.
Yeah,
I'm stoked. That was cool.
Steph is not going to want to hear me talk about this for the next 3 hours straight, but that's what she has ahead of her. Because that was fucking awesome. That was
Really fucking awesome. All right, very cool. All right, that was thank you to Mike Rhyner, the godfather of sports talk radio in that form that we do it in this part of the country now. Thank you to all you viewers. Thank you to all who are going to watch this later on. Thank you for those that contributed. Thank you to our new sponsor, JM Pool and Spas. We'll do this again Tuesday is my plan. Tuesday night, and then probably even Wednesday night. Well, yeah, we'll figure it out. We're going to do a shit ton of these next week since I'll be actually with those guys in the room. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the radio. We'll see you on the YouTube show. Subscribe to this thing. It is Thunderdome Live. It is youtube.com/Mike Taylor Show, or go to loveyouhardtv.com. Like us, subscribe us, keep us rolling. We love you hard, and we'll We'll keep the content rolling. Love you. We'll see you next time. Peace out. Aloha. Adios.
3, 2, 1, and you're done.
And you're
Oh, come back, you puppy!